Well, you know I've got something to say.
We were hoping you'd stay muted.
You're breaking up.
Not bad. No, I'm torn too, but I'll have to say this. If we're gonna follow the guidelines that are set before us, and the governor said, hey, you all can go ahead and play and resume activities. I mean, you've got high school seniors that this is their last hurrah. May have been backing up somebody for the past 3 years, and they may have worked their tail off. They're going to show somebody that they deserve a chance at the next level to get them a good, scholarship or whatever. So I look through that lens, and I don't understand why we don't play. And that's kind of where I guess I lean, because if the governor's telling you can do it, we can all stay home and live under a rock until everything gets better. And maybe that is the best thing to do. I'm not going to argue either way, but I just feel like if we've taken the proper safety guidelines and we could bring in some extra seating from some of these more removable bleachers, and increase the seating, not really to increase it, but to help people spread out at the stadiums. I wish to go back to school too, and this wouldn't even be a question, but I hate to see us steal something else from the senior class this year after watching the whole spring get canceled. And we were in a lot better shape at that time. And look what we, and I'm not saying we robbed them of it, but yeah, the virus did. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you. Mitch, you want to add anything? You're muted right now.
I know, I've had to figure out how to unmute it. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I kind of got in late, so I didn't hear everything, but where I am on this is, I kind of echo a little bit about what Chad said. We're not precluded from doing it. If we follow, appropriate safety protocols, and that's going to be on Dr. Flannery to ensure those are being followed, then I see no reason not to move forward with practice. Chad started talking about the bleachers, and I'm not sure that we want to pack the stadiums. So how do we limit, or how do we provide appropriate social distancing? I think you almost have to look at what BMS did for that all-star race. They had 30,000 people there, and the thing seats 160. So, how do you're going to have to, it's going to impact your day, it's going to impact the number of people that can come, but I think we have to consider that before we, have any competitive event. So that's about where I am.
All right, thank you. Jason, you got an opinion?
Well, yeah, I got a few thoughts. They talked about school versus sports, basically. I get that from an educator standpoint. I realize, I wish the kids were in school, the teachers are there. I guess that works. The kids, I think we're all passionate, and in my heart, I can't wait till, August football. Every year, I love to go to high school football games. I was so excited about it. But, and coming in here, I was gung-ho, let them play whatever. But, when I sit here and think about it, we're all passionate about stuff, but we're definitely passionate about these kids. And I don't know what the right or wrong answer is, but I do know we definitely don't want to take a chance with any of them's lives or their families or anything else. And, yeah, I know, and I, you know, like Chad mentioned, the governor and some others, but the more I think about it, I mean, that don't make him a physician or make him right. He wants life to be back to normal as well. So I think we do, if we do play, I definitely think we need to limit the amount of seating and tickets that's sold, probably. And then the other thing is, you know, what are we looking at? Is this just a football meeting? Are we talking about basketball? Are we talking about, you know, in other words, volleyball? Is volleyball contact sport? I mean, they jump and touch each other the whole game. So, you know, golf probably not so much. But so what sports are we going to play? What sports are we not going to play? And then another thing I was thinking, a meeting or so ago, I remember Josh and Danny maybe mentioned, has anybody considered moving the football schedule to the spring again, or no way? Okay. So, I don't know. I mean, that's some of my thoughts, but I don't know. I'm more confused than I was now. Yeah. So, anyway, that's mine.
My thoughts on it are, first and foremost, my kids are grown and not in school now. But if they were, I would have no problem sending them to school, if school was open. I got two nieces that are in school, and I have no problem with them going to school. But as far as the sports go, the non-contact, I think we're fine with, and I think that's why I was kind of bringing it up, because I think we can social distance. The volleyball, you don't get a whole lot of fans anyway, so you can space them out, and the kids you can always discuss and talk to, tell them, you know, no high five and all that stuff. Golf, of course, is the same, and soccer, I think you can space out as well. To me, the only problem that comes in is football. And one thing I think we have to understand is if we're going to do football in April or even September, or not April, but into August or September, they've got to be practicing. They've got to be out there. It's not like you can give them a week and say, hey, okay, we're playing next week, here we go. So my thoughts on that are is, you know, come Monday, I have no problem with letting the kids go full contact practice, because we still got 3 weeks or so before the first game would even happen, maybe 4, 3 or 4. And we can see by our own interactions of our own teams if this is gonna work or not. Before we bring fans in, before we have other teams in, you know, we can see, hey, you know, and I hate to say it, but Hayden, Jeremy, lots on you all, as far as just making sure the kids are doing their hygiene. And, you know, that's a hard thing sometimes to do. And I don't hate to say it's on you too, but, you know, you all know what I mean. But, so I have no problem with starting back Monday, because they can go full contact Monday, that's correct. And I look at it on the side of, you know, I'm hearing, you know, they can't go to school, but how are we gonna say they can go to play sports? Well, technically, we can go to school. Our director has opted with the numbers and everything, that it's just the best that we try to let those dwindle down. And I'm okay with that. Cause that is, you're talking, you know, anywhere from 600 to 1,200 kids in an area together. So, just, that's my thoughts on that. As far as, you know, I'm okay with going full contact. And just, as a county, as 2 school systems, we evaluate it every day and see where we're at. And if we gotta pull the plug, you know, you've gotta pull the plug. But I think it's, to me, okay to try. And one thing about it is, parents have the right to say, hey, my son is not going out there and playing because they're worried. And so, you know, falls on the parent to accept, you know, my child's gonna go out there, and then we put the ownership on our head coaches to make sure everything is being followed correctly. But I'll open it back up for any discussions. Jason?
So if we do, that sounds good what you said, if we play, how does it work if, I know, you know, Madison plays volleyball, somebody got sick, we had to take a week off. What are we gonna do in football? What if we got a game Friday night, is the kid sick on Wednesday, do we cancel the football game and everybody stay home? So,
Wednesday before the game or Wednesday after?
I'm saying if today,
Okay.
you find out one of your players has got COVID, and you got a game against Science Hill Friday night,
Yeah, you gotta track back when, you guys can answer that better than I can probably, but when did the symptoms show?
yeah.
You go all the way
You
back
go
to
from the
that.
date of the test.
You go from the,
Well, for the kid that tests positive, you go from the day of the test. From the kids that had primary contact, it's their last contact date, and they have to quarantine for 14 days.
So basically, the whole team would be out.
Yeah.
if you were within 6 foot of that individual for 10 minutes or more, that's what it states.
Right.
So if I'm within 6 foot of Tim tests positive, I'm within 6 foot of Tim for 10 minutes or more at any given time, then I have to quarantine. If I wasn't, then I don't.
So for instance, if we let them in the locker rooms before practice, like we typically do, or after practice, they're all gonna be in there together. If we bring them all together at the end of practice to give
All
them their
within 6 foot of
speeches.
each other.
My question becomes, how do we police that? Do we
We have-
have designated
we-
spots for each kid?
Excuse me?
Will we have designated spots for each kid
Yes,
where you
we-
know who's been around?
That, and all those questions are being asked right now are good ones. Those 11 bullets that I talked about, we met about today, those things are being addressed, and they were addressed by us today. They're gonna be given to Dr. Flannery and the rest of the directors of schools tonight or tomorrow for their viewing. But all those things were addressed.
I heard Keith mention that, so let's take, for instance, let's say it's an offensive lineman. That's pretty much gonna take all your offensive linemen out, so how would you play on Friday without that group? So, it'd be very challenging.
But I agree with you, but I don't think that's the question that he answers and Hayden answers. I mean, I don't know how Hayden runs his practice. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think I can answer how Coach Jenkins runs his. We can speculate it. I mean, I'm not playing devil's advocate here. We've all got different opinions about it, but bottom line is if Jason was around Danny for within 6 foot for 10 minutes or longer, then I quarantine. Period.
Another consideration, and they're not consulting themselves, if they say Wednesday, they don't have a positive case. Who's to say South Hills, we're not coming? You may not have anybody to tell you.
Well, and that, another thing about that, I guess was probably a big concern was what we said about Knox County and all those. I mean, I'm worried about, I hate for you to get right in the middle of the season and then everything just falls apart, and that's why I was hoping there's a way to move it all together, but if that's not an option, I guess you just ifs and buts and go for it.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, and like Dr. Finer said, that there is a possibility that we say move forward, we get the approval from the board to move forward. There is a possibility that Hayden doesn't have a who to go to play. I mean, all we can control is us. You know, we can't control what happens outside of that, or same way with South. We don't know what Sullivan County's gonna do for sure. You know, we can't control that, but I understand, and I'm on both sides of things. I've got a wife at home that's due in September the 7th, and she's got immune deficiency, you know, so I get it, it's close to home for me. But I just feel like that our kids, our coaches, our communities, our schools, I just think they need a plan, they need something to give us some hope, to give us a distraction from this virus, something to look forward to. We can say we're playing right now, and we don't play until a competitive event until August the 17th is the first volleyball game. You know, August the 21st is the first football game for Jeremy and Hayden. You know, we can always adjust if if we need to at that point, but I feel like our people need a plan. They need to have a date out there that says, and I understand that's easy for me to sit here and say that. I'm not in your all's shoes. You know, I'm not in Dr. Flannery's shoes. I get that wholeheartedly. But sometimes we're going to have to poke our head up, or somebody is. Step forward just a little bit.
Mr. Campbell?
Just give you something to think about, two things. All right, first thing, Dr. Flannery's position, Danny and all these guys met today, they will give information tomorrow. Your meeting Monday, is that correct?
It's not been scheduled.
Okay, so if you all decide today, either way, and then what if we decide, okay, we're playing, and then when Dr. Flannery goes to the meeting on Monday, nobody else is playing, or vice versa, if we decide not to play, and then everybody else is playing, Peyton and Jeremy are the two sitting at home. So I think that's one thing to think about. This is just personal. This is just my opinion, and it doesn't matter to anybody. I think that the board, our player, will decide either to have a 10-game schedule, then Crockett, that would give us all, or an 8-game schedule. That would put us play the first week in September. We could possibly be back in school then, because the 30-day calendar days would be right there at the end. Both of us have a home and away those first 2 weeks. So if those were cut and we still had 8 games left, both the schools still got 4 and 4 on the way. You have to mess with conference games, region games, whatever they call them. Those two scenarios is what you really got to decide. Because we got, I mean, kids, all of us need to go and play. So I don't think we should keep saying, well, if we're going to play. Like, we're going to play, it's either 10 or it's 8. And then we hit ahead on it, is what I think. Now, that's an opinion.
No, and that's good, and that's a good option to be kind of thrown out there. And actually, hate to put you both on the spot, but Hayden and Jeremy, what do you all think about an 8-game schedule, dropping the 2, hypothetically, not saying we do it or anything, but dropping the 2 non-conference games at the beginning of the year and push back the start?
Well, that was actually one of the options early on, option 2, that the people at Slay had out there. So Danny and I and Coach Campbell and I had already, we kind of thought we were going that route anyway. We thought that's the route they would adopt. So, you know, either way, we can work with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can work with that.
Hayden?
Yeah, so, matter of fact, our first 2 games are away games, so we would technically still have 5 home games, just kind of the way it worked out. But, listen, if that's what we got to do, then that's what we got to do. And, I think Jeremy and them have a region game week 3. We have a region game week 3, so that's, September 4th would be the latest if we're going to play. I mean, that's got to be the latest because those games have to get played. But, and I'll just chime back in on the, Jason brought up if you get a kid that gets the virus, I don't know, can't speak for anybody else, but we just want to play so darn bad. If somebody gets it, look, I mean, we'll sit whoever we got to sit. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We just want to get an opportunity to play.
Dr. Flannery, let me ask you this. Regardless what this committee does tonight, full contact can start Monday, but if the board, we don't meet till Tuesday. So how is that gonna happen if Jeremy and Hayden want to start full contact Monday? Can they just do it without the board?
It's fine.
Okay, we're just talking playing.
That's InterVarsity athletics, is what we're talking about. I mean, they got a full set of rules that we do. Great job on screening, full contact is not a problem.
Because they've not been doing that yet.
And if we're gonna play, they're gonna have to start full contact.
Have to have that.
You don't told them it's fine.
Have 2 weeks in.
But I understand that, but I mean, we don't, as a board, need to be given the approval for them to go to full contact before Tuesday, right?
No, because essentially you was level A and Delta and everybody else already had.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that the right out there.
I can't wait on what, Ken said, last Wednesday when the superintendents got together, we agreed as a group, this is a school board level decision. None of us have any expertise in more than anybody else. This is the reason you asked for the reason you have that meeting.
How does that affect the dropping those 2 games? That wouldn't affect, I mean, the conference doesn't have a problem with that because they're not conference games. It'd only be dealing with the 2 schools, right? And,
We do a 2-year contract, so, there may be some monetary on there. Tim and I, Mr. Campbell and I have to sign it, and Josh and Peggy have to sign theirs. You know, we may owe South $500, but I don't think if they came to it, they're not gonna, or Greenville, it's not gonna, in this condition we're in, that's not gonna come to play. Come into play, should I say. I don't think it is what
Hey,
it is.
Mr. Gagnon,
yes,
I mean, since the TWSAA has stated that we're full season, if we omit those 2 games and the other teams wish to play, we would go down as a 4th. Since, I mean, there's no hybrid, I mean, option 2, September 18th is off the table. We went to the hybrid plan, the governor made the decision before August 3rd, we're full go. There's no voiding contracts, everything's stable. Is that not right, Danny?
Well, you may be correct, I don't know, but I don't think that there's even if it is true, it's irrelevant. There's 2 non-conference games, I mean, hurt our standings in the state.
would it hurt playoffs, trying to make
No,
playoffs?
it has nothing to do with the regional setting, has nothing to do with any of that. What's Nashville gonna do then? They're taking off the whole month of August.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the teams that have conference games in the first 2 weeks, I don't know how you can go back and forth with each, region, to try to solve that. I don't know how they'll work that out.
Yeah, but that wouldn't affect
It does
us.
not affect us, but, Ottawa forfeited us last year and it cost them the playoff. So,
How could it cost them a playoff if it wasn't a conference game for them?
hey, Hayden, can you chime in on that?
Yeah, the way it worked out, there was a 3-way tie in their division for 4th, or maybe for 3rd, and I think it was a 3-way tie for 3rd, and they were the 5th straw because they give us that game.
Sure.
So that's a freak scenario, that doesn't happen very often, but that did happen, yeah.
You'll have, not if it's a normal schedule, you can't. You can pick one of them on a bye date if you both have it the same day. That's unlikely to happen.
What we need to,
When all the rest of them don't matter.
Well, I mean, probably need to make a recommendation, I guess, out of this committee, but before we do that, I do want to ask, what are we doing about middle school sports? Are we just going to, nothing there, or are we going to let them open up wide open, or?
I mean, right now in the middle school on the north side, football's been going 3 days a week, 3 evenings a week, am I correct, Coach?
Is that contact or no
No,
contact?
it's the same protocols, volleyball's started up, practicing, we've got some cheer going. We don't have any soccer at this point, because soccer was gonna start when school started up in person. They haven't done anything on the north side of county.
I mean, middle school football's looking at a modified schedule, and they're working on it right now. So we have that, it's taking care of that, but it's not done yet.
I think, Josh, the email that Clint sent out, it looks like maybe the first game that they've modified is the first week of September, is it not?
Sure. I believe you're right, Danny. That is correct. I'm trying to find it here. But yes, it's 1st of September.
what is your line, what are you saying? You don't think they should, or they should?
Who, middle school?
Yeah.
No, we were all just discussing the high school, and I didn't want a motion to be made to play the
Yeah.
sports, and
Gotcha.
we're not talking about
First middle
middle school.
school game is September 3rd.
So it's a ways off.
The modified schedule, revised schedule.
I think if you're going to high school play, that's middle school play, I mean, wouldn't be fair.
Now, volleyball will start before that, and here's the thing about golf. Golf's already started, so, you know, if we push them back to September, their season's pretty much shot.
You don't have to touch them.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead, Chad.
I mean, I don't care to make a motion if that's what we're looking for or whatever, but I think we're either all in or we're all out. My opinion, I mean, at least by starting out, and maybe if we want to change our ways, you know, closer to playing a football game, then that's fine, or I would even be for letting them play and not even no fans there. I mean, just let the kids, let the kids have an opportunity to show their skills, but
I
I
believe
think,
we can handle a third of capacity with following the rules. Sorry, Chad, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but if let's say we could squeeze 3,000 people in with their seating and portable bleachers and everything, where we would have like a muster bowl. If we knock it down to a third or fourth, I believe we could social distance 750 fans. If we had to temperature check every one of them, because Danny and I have spoken, we've looked into the pre-sale tickets, not even having a gate. I've talked to our concession stands about learning how to use a square, maybe a voucher, and I mean, prepackaged food. I mean, that stuff that was discussed today amongst the athletic directors. But I believe we're going to have attendance just to pay our bills. I mean, it costs $2,000 to run football.
Well, I think, you know, tonight, we just need to decide, yes, we're gonna do it or not, and we can have an athletics committee meeting, the 10th of August or something like that, to iron down any loopholes, any attendance, how many we're gonna allow. TSSAA may chime in by that time and say, hey, only a third can be in or whatever, and so it may play out itself on that.
Well, that's the recommendation, Todd, through the COVID-19 sports regulation, is a third of attendance or a fourth of attendance. That's their recommendation.
And that's a lot of stuff we covered today, how we were gonna go about doing that as a region, everybody does it. Of course, your capacity's different in different places.
So will
Sure.
we have?
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Are there any recommendations, coaches, on, you know, testing the players early in the season?
I mean, that would be great, but we just don't have I think it's $100 a test, is it not?
Well,
Yeah,
you mean actual
well,
testing?
Yes.
We do not have a legal authority to have anybody test.
But let me ask you this, are our college teams doing that?
Yes.
I know they will, so, you know, and it shouldn't be about whether we can afford it or not, because I don't think that's an issue. The issue would be is whether it's appropriate and whether it supports the athletes, the athletic safety. You know, if you knew, or if a kid knew that he might have the virus and is out there and playing, that's why I predicated my earlier comments, assuming all safety precautions are taken. So, you know, that's why I asked the question, is there a recommendation from any of your governing bodies or the health department that our players or athletes be tested?
No.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, but like Dr. Flannery said, we can't require that. The TSSAA actually does state if a kid does test positive, that they either require a negative test when they return or a note from their primary physician that they're able to come back. And at the college level, it requires 2 negative tests and I believe a cardio workup. Is that not correct, Brian?
Yes.
I think that would change daily. That's the only thing about that. I mean, test them all now in 2 weeks, one of them may have it. I mean, I don't know if that'll help us overall. So are we going to, we was just talking about, So we're gonna go ahead and settle, or we're gonna make a recommendation about, hey, we're gonna sell, and that's what I think you was gonna say, or saying you was working on. When we go to the full board, are we gonna go ahead and settle, hey, we're gonna sell X amount of tickets, period? That's something we just need, we need to iron all this out right now and be done, don't we?
Well, I don't,
Or over the
here a
next
while.
week, but I
Yeah.
mean,
well, will they not do it, or is it gonna be up to the conference?
No,
or-
because your capacity, Crockett Boone's capacity with people sitting down is 2,400 roughly per stadium, okay? So you could bring in a few extra, you could account for some folks standing certain places, like you do with graduation. But you go to South Stadium, they'll hold 6,600. So a third of 6,600 is a whole lot different than a third of 2,400. So
well, I think like volleyball, we'll never, we
well, you
got,
don't have to, that's not a concern,
Yeah.
because, I mean, our gym will sit 1,800, you're not gonna have 600.
yeah, you
So
want to have 200.
those things are, you know, Josh and I have been working on those, we've got a plan in place. The group that met today, we addressed it across the board, that each facility is gonna be different at each school.
But the conference isn't even gonna say a third and go from there, or a quarter.
Well, that's the suggestions that the state sent out, so that's the guidelines that we're gonna go by. It's because that's what we're trying to do, is go by their guidelines.
Hold that up right there.
So, yeah,
So at what point do you have to know that, I guess, is the question.
what point do we have to know? Well, I mean, if we get the blessing from the board to move forward, then it's already in place. It's right there.
Okay.
So we know, you know, we go from,
You got it.
it's in front of us.
I'm reading this 10-page set of rules from PWS of the lake, and about the only decision that we can make is how many people come to the games. Everything else is nailed down. It says you will do this, you will do this, or you won't have to. So how many people are allowed to do the games is about the decision you will do.
Right, and that's why we want, like Josh said, we want to go cashless, we want to pre-sell everything. The team that's visiting, you get the visit team X number, and we base a lot of that on, we talked, Brian, here, we talked about that today. You want to allow X number of tickets per football player that they have, or cheerleader.
Well, if the board was to agree to move forward and allow, can that stuff not be made, decisions be made administratively? You and Danny and the principals, or Josh, the capacity,
Concession stands.
Yeah.
We've already got an idea of what to do about concession
so
stands.
basically, all we gotta do is say, give you the go-ahead that, hey, we wanna go with sports, and everything else administratively can be handled.
If 5 board members say play ball, we'll figure it out.
Okay,
So we really don't have to do that. Dr.
No.
Flannery is just asking us to do that. It's really, we really don't have to do anything.
he's asked, he needs board approval to move forward with athletics.
So we're not.
But he don't have to have it. I mean, he can just do it.
And
You don't want to put me in charge of it.
Are you gonna say no?
Because if we're in the red zone, they won't do it all.
Okay.
Whichever way you decide to go, we'll be ready.
So let's make a motion.
We've looked at this thing from every different.
we can't, but you can.
I'll make a motion. I will make a motion.
There are 7 voting members present, digitally or in person.
Okay. Make your motion clear, please, it's what we want.
Let's talk about that before we do it.
Well, it's like I said, basically, all we need out of this committee is, yes, we want to move forward with fall sports.
Simple.
Because Dr. Flannery, Danny, Josh, Tim, Peggy, Jeremy, hey, everybody can take care of the details of
Okay.
how it's happening.
Okay.
And by that, you mean competing.
Yes.
So we wanna make I wanna make a motion that we move forward with our sports. And that Dr. Flannery and his staff,
You're, all I need out of your motion, if you're forward, is that you want to move forward with fall sports, competing in fall sports at the middle school and high school level.
okay. I wanna move forward with competing fall sports at the middle school and high school levels.
All right, I got a motion, in case you all didn't hear, to move forward with fall sports at the middle school and high school level. Do I have a second?
I've got a question.
Do I have a second?
Chad said-
Second.
I heard
Chad seconds. Okay, Josh.
Is that on a regular schedule? Move forward on a regular schedule? Regular sports schedule?
That's on the schedule you got, because they won't allow reschedule for any games.
Yeah, that'd be on the 10-game schedule.
That's for golf and everything, cross-country, volleyball, on a regular schedule.
Per TWSAA
We're not,
guidelines that's in front of us.
yeah, we're not messing with anything. We're just giving you all the approval to move forward with fall sports. And you all will work out with Dr. Flannery any details. You understand?
Okay?
Not much like that, it's
Should do you want that in there as scheduled, or?
Just move forward with fall sports,
Okay.
competing in fall sports.
Because no schedules have been changed, so
Yeah.
it has to be what's.
Okay.
correct.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Just one second.
Yeah.
And it's not that I disagree with sports, because I'm against on it completely. It's just the message that we're sending as an administrator is that we don't have them in school right now, but we can have them playing sports. And it's mixed, because I want them playing sports. I mean, they just did a fundraiser at the school the other day. I want them, but again, as administrators, we're sending the message that it's dangerous for you to come to school. We're in the red, but it's okay to play sports.
I think that's a fair statement, but like Todd said, you got 600 or 800 kids crowded in the common area in a high school, and then you got 60 out on a football field on an acre and a half. I get it, but
Yeah, I'm just saying, as administrators, I'm just voicing that out, that's where we're at when we have parents come and talking to us, wanting to know, hey, why are you hosting games at the school? Volleyball games, whatever we might be doing, but we're not physically in the building.
yeah.
My opinion on that, Brandon, is, and this is my opinion, I may be way wrong, but we're not saying it's unsafe to go to school. We're saying because of the levels in the area are increased, to help reduce them, we are going virtual for now. And to me, there's a difference. You know, if it was unsafe, there'd be a lot of things not going on. And that's just me, that's how I see it. I mean, I wish we were in school personally, but I don't think Dr. Flannery saying we're going virtual for 30 days is telling kids it is unsafe to go to school. And that's how I hear it. We can go back to school, but we're just choosing at this time to try to, and I don't want to say low, the curve thing, because I think we've already done that, but, we're a little elevated right now in the area, whether it's because of vacations and people have went someplace and come back and spread a little bit, but it's not unsafe, is how I feel.
Well, and the other thing is too, I got a seniors athlete, and if I don't think it's safe, I won't let her play. So those parents have a choice. They don't have to send them, they don't have to let them play. It's totally, totally their call.
I'm just bringing up what we're facing.
Sure.
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm telling
understand.
you, my
Oh, yeah.
phone and my email has been blowing up nonstop. And I'm not the only administrator that's facing that. All of us that have middle school sports, and I don't know about the high school level, but that's what we're facing, and that's what the community is, that's the message the community is seeing at this point. However, on the flip side, I've got a lot of people in the community, it's time to get back to normal. You heard what the governor said. I'm just making that statement that that's what we're facing as administrators, so you understand where we're coming from.
And if it's past this Tuesday night's board meeting, I have no problem with you and every administrator and Dr. Flannery, if somebody calls and complains, to tell them the board voted on this. And I have no problem discussing this with anybody, because I'll take ownership of what I do. And that's just how I feel. And if I feel it was unsafe, I'd be the first one to sit here and say no. But, like we said, if I felt it was unsafe for my child, I wouldn't let my child play. I wouldn't let him go out there. And I wouldn't do anything to a kid that I wouldn't do myself. And if this body would let me, I'd be out there playing.
None of us in this room would do that. I'm just trying to say, it's that communication
Sure.
piece that we are all struggling with right now. Just making that statement, because we have been bombarded nonstop.
Yeah, I
Teachers
understand.
have,
Yes.
administrators have.
What percentage of our kids want, what percentage of our parents want their kids back in school?
Okay.
A large amount. But I will tell you, if we look at what our school though, we were almost getting close to 25% that went into when we go to virtual learning. 75 we want to come back. But I'll tell you, in sports, all of our athletes are going to come back and play. I know that. I'm just communicating what we are feeling at our schools. And I'm sure, I'm not speaking for Dr. Flandry, but I'm sure he hears the same thing.
Let me tell you something, like you have to take the first call or the first email on all the kids. It's all about, most of them say we need the kids back in the buildings. And most of them call it on their child care. And I'm getting a lot of calls from clients that are saying this is all hoax, you're an idiot. This isn't true, you read this, from some crank doctor in South America. I'm getting, the crazies are coming out and people are desperate for job. That's the cause I'm getting. Nothing on athletic. I will send this.
Dan?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, I mean, regardless of whether this goes from here, you know, and things get better, things get worse, it gets voted in, at least to give our coaches and our kids that there's a plan in front of them, it gives them some hope, it gives them some excitement, you know, and I appreciate you taking the lead, doing what you've done, and, you know, but we may, you know, something may change this in the next 2-3 weeks, we understand that, because, the cycle that we've been in, but we have a plan in front of us at this point, and, I thank you for that.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, I'll need a roll call vote by the committee members. Jennifer?
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. Fleener, Mr. Fleener,
Yes, ma'am, again.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Kite,
Yes.
Mr. Good,
Yes.
Mr. McKee,
Yes.
Mr. Ganger.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Any other items we need tonight? Discuss.
I've got one, just in case anybody gets contacted, board members, the air conditioning at Gray School leaked, and it caused the floor to buckle. I think it's turned into an insurance job, is that correct, Dr. Flannery?
Yeah, we're right in the middle of it.
So, the floor's deemed, I've deemed it unsafe to compete on, they can practice, so they're probably going to play their volleyball matches away this fall. So just if you get any questions about that, then that's why.
That's a parquet floor, so we're looking at a complete refloor and boards. While we're doing it, why don't we just go ahead and put some nice new boots?
I thought we voted to do that. Yeah, I thought we
No,
did.
and we're gonna be, I think Mr. Patrick's gonna be bringing you all an
We
estimate.
just talked about
We
it.
talked about it,
And
yeah.
he was gonna bring y'all a,
Oh,
cost.
That's right. yeah.
But it's right there where the standard is, it's buckled up, it's just, I mean, if you was competing and going after a chance you could trip over, it's raised up 6 inches, so.
Hopefully, the board will send me the HEW on brickwork, roof floors, and roof. Just get ready to take care of them.
All right. Anything else?
What school did you say it was? Gray School, Danny?
Great.
Correct.
Thank you.
May I have anything else?
Yeah, just so I'm clear, so we are getting a new contact starting Monday.
Yes.
Roger that.
All right, well, I appreciate everybody being here and everybody's input, and hopefully we can move forward safely and get these kids back out there doing some regular stuff. So, thank y'all. Meeting adjourned.
Good job, Jennifer, keeping us straight.